Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Brother, please, in the front of you have the line, soft is empty. So move the front, fill up the gap. Okay, this is the right hand. Just in mind, please, if you enter the masjid, please turn off your cell phone or you put on silent. During sholat Jummuah, please no any ring notification for the phone. So make sure look your cell phone and then turn off or you put it silent. And if you bring the child under 5 years old and then you can control, please follow direction, pray downstairs with the parent, inshallah. Also, if you parking car in the parking lot, Mabit Sawan, after Sholat Jum'ah, please leave early. So make the volunteer or parking the easy for me, inshallah. And then last, for the security and keep clean in the masjid, we not allow bring the food, drink, or carry bag in the masjid. So if you bring the carry bag or water, put in the foyer, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليكم.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد إن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Allah Subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور. referring to Allah, who created death and life to test you as to which of you is best indeed. And He is exalted in might, the forgiving. So, and of course this is not news to us. We all know that this life is a test, it's an examination. But what kind of a test is it? Is a test, like in this life we have tests which are set up in a way that they want us to fail. As an example of a test where they want us to fail. For those of you going to college, they have what's called a weed out class. Weed out class, right? This is where, the university, they want to try to weed out the people that are not really serious about that subject. And so the freshman or the sophomore has to take some class which is very difficult, very hard, and almost 50% of the class will fail, and they will not continue with that subject. But we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not like that, right? Because لَا يُكَلِّفُ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا إِلَّا وُسْعَهَا, right? Allah does not burden a soul beyond what it can bear. So all of us are being tested. Allah has testing us individually, but our test is an individual test, which is catered towards what we individually are capable of doing, and therefore the test is not too difficult for us, for what we can do, because Allah will not overburden us with anything. And nor is it a test like where Allah is trying to catch us, catch us off guard, like the police officer. You'll be driving along at some speed limit, say 55 miles per hour, and unbeknownst to you, the speed limit drops from 55 to 45. Maybe the sign is a little bit, hidden or something by some brushes, some trees, and the police officer is just hiding in the side behind some, bridge or something, and then before you know it, the lights go off, you get a speeding ticket because you were going and you didn't realize the speed limit dropped from 55 to 35 or something like that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not doing that either to us. He's not trying to catch us. Inna Allah la yadlimu an-nasa shay'a walakinna an-nasa anfusahum yadlimun. Allah would not have wronged them, right? Allah does not do injustice, or is not unjust with us, but it is they who have wronged us themselves, right? If anything happens to us that's wrong, that's bad, if you fail the test, it's because of us. It's not because of what Allah did or tried to do. And so in that way, I want to contrast, what Allah really, He wants us to succeed. He really, really wants us to succeed, and there's so many ways that Allah's mercy manifests itself in the way that He wants us to succeed and pass this test, this life that we're passing through right now. And if we just enumerate just a few of them, one of them, for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the Quran, and it's preserved, right? We don't have to guess what He wants from us. You go to school, you're taking an exam, you want to have a textbook, you want to know, you want to know what's going to be on the exam or what's going to be on the test. So Allah has given us the Quran, and He's given us not only that, but the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best role model, the best example of all mankind on how to be a good Muslim, so that we know exactly what Allah wants from us, so we can pass the test with flying colors, inshallah. So this is one example of Allah's mercy, that we don't have to guess what Allah wants us to do, or what we need to do in order to be successful. Another example is that we sin day and night, and we all do this. We're all sinning to one degree or another, and we're doing it in front of Allah. Some of you who have a child. It's one thing if your child goes and does something behind your back, but it takes it to another level when the child is right there in front of you and does something wrong, and you're like sitting there watching, right? You feel it. Like, oh my God, I'm right here and you're doing that right in front of me, and yet we do this with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time. But Allah is merciful, and He's given us an appointed time when He will take us. He's not, waiting for us to commit the sin and then He catches us in the middle of the sin. He gives us our appointed time, whatever that is, and during that time we have the chance, the opportunity to turn back to Allah, to make astaghfar, to seek guidance, and basically to make amends for the wrong that we've done. So again, another example of Allah's mercy and rahmah, that He wants us to succeed. Another example is the fitrah. SubhanAllah, Allah has put within us the fitrah, so that we have an innate ability to know what's right and wrong. We can feel it. When we do something wrong, there's something that tells us. We can feel it, that we're doing something wrong. And when we do something good, we feel it, that we're doing something good. So Allah has programmed us with that innate fitra, that ability to know the distinguish between good and bad. Another example, the angels. They're around us, constantly encouraging us to do what's right, and encouraging us to see what's wrong. And we can go on and on. There's so many ways that Allah, out of His mercy, is trying to facilitate for us to be successful in this test, this exam. For now, I wanted to just go on and just focus on one aspect of this mercy is the multipliers. I'll call the multipliers. And what do I mean by the multipliers? So we'll start with this one hadith where the Prophet Muhammad said, "Verily Allah Ta'ala has written down the good deeds and the evil deeds. Whosoever intended to perform a good deed but did not do it, then Allah writes it down with Himself as a complete good deed. And if he intended to perform it and then did perform it, then Allah writes it down with Himself from 10 to 700 times and multiples of that. And if he intended to perform an evil deed, but he did not do it, then Allah writes it down with Himself as a complete good deed. And if he intends to do the bad deed and does it, then Allah writes it down to Himself as one evil deed." SubhanAllah, here's a perfect example of how Allah is trying to stack this test in our favor. You just imagine it. You just think that you want to do something good, and for whatever reason you're not able to do it, Allah still counts that down as a good deed. And then if you do actually go and do that good deed, it's not counted as one good deed, but it's counted as at least 10, if not many, many, many more than that 10. And then, and subhanAllah, on top of that, if you think of doing a bad thing, but you catch yourself, this is not right, you control yourself, then Allah will actually count that also as a good deed. And only when you intend to do the bad thing and you do it, then Allah counts it down as one bad deed. So here's an example of a multiplier, how Allah is really trying to stack this test in our favor. Another multiplier, which we just passed, was the month of Ramadan. SubhanAllah, this is a whole month in the Islamic year where for 30 days Allah is giving us a chance to do good deeds, and the reward is multiplied manyfold. And if we just focus on 1 month of fasting, in another hadith, Abu Hurairah said that the Messenger said, "Every action of the son of Adam is given manifold reward, each good deed receiving 10 times its life, up to 700 times. But Allah the Most High said, except for fasting. For it is for me, and I will give recompense for it." So we don't even know what the reward for fasting is. But suffice it to say, it's clear that Allah is trying to indicate that the reward for the fasting is going to be even more than just this multiplier. Right? And this is 30 days of fasting that Allah is giving us an opportunity to get that reward. Also in the month of Ramadan, you have the Laylatul Qadr. This is the one night which is better than 1,000 months. When you do the math, 1,000 months, that works out to about 80 some years, right? It's like a lifetime. So what is this multiplier? You're doing one night of ibadah, and you're going to get the reward as if you spent a whole lifetime in ibadah. What an amazing multiplier that is, that Allah is giving us, that we can benefit from. But let's suppose, we miss it. And it happens, because we don't know what night specifically it is. And for whatever reason, we miss it. But again, Allah, what happens after Ramadan comes Shawwal. And Allah, in another hadith we have, whoever fasts during the month of Ramadan and then follows it up with 6 days of Shawwal will be rewarded as if he had fasted the entire year. So another multiplier. Allah just keeps giving them one after the other, one after the other. So here, you fast on Ramadan and you add 6 days of Shawwal. Any 6 days in Shawwal, you have a whole month to pick and choose which days that are easy for you. And now it's as if you fasted an entire year. So Allah is just throwing the multipliers on us to make us successful in this test that we're going through in this life. And then, again, the end of the year is coming. The Islamic year is coming. What do we have at the end of the year? Dhul Hijjah. This is the last month of the Islamic calendar. And then another multiplier comes, right? We have in this hadith, there are no 10 days during which righteous deeds are more beloved to Allah than these days, referring to the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. And so then the companions that were there, they were asking for clarification, and they were a little bit surprised. So are you saying that even, they said, not even striving in the cause of Allah, going out for jihad, these 10 days are going to be better than that? And so then the Prophet Muhammad said, not even striving in the cause of Allah, unless a man goes out with himself and his wealth and does not return with either. Just think about it. You have two people. One person, on the 11th of Dhul Hijjah, right? After the 10 days have passed, he goes out and goes fi sabilillah, and he's out for the whole year, and he returns at the end of Dhul Qa'dah, the day, the last day of Dhul Qa'dah, the day before the first 10 days of the next, Dhul Hijjah. So that's like about 340 days he's fi sabilillah out on the cause of Allah. And then you have another person, he just spends those 10 days, benefiting in ibadah and worship and pleasing Allah during those 10 days. And that person, his 10 days will outweigh the other person's 340 days. This is an amazing calculation there. That Allah is providing for us, to help us and make sure that we succeed and pass in this examination. Inshallah. And on top of that, what are some of the things that we could do, in these 10 days? We have another hadith. There are no days greater with Allah in which the righteous deeds performed in them are more beloved to Allah than these 10 days. So, and again referring to these 10 days that are coming up, inshallah. Make plenty of tahmid, takbir, and tahmeen. This is, saying Allahu Akbar, saying La ilaha, the shahada, La ilaha illallah, and Alhamdulillah. And you might be thinking, well, that seems like such a small thing, such a small act to do. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants to provide us with something that everybody can do. And what do I mean by that? If we go to this hadith, some of the companions of the Prophet, they came to him and said, "Oh, Messenger of Allah, the rich, they have taken away all the rewards. They observe the prayers we do, they keep the fast as we do, and they give sadaqah from their surplus riches," right? So this is the ahas of the poor people in Medina. They were like complaining that, how can we compete with these people like Abu Bakr and Uthman, Abdurrahman ibn Auf? They're giving so much money, and we have nothing. We can't give like they give. So then the Prophet was consoling them. And look, has Allah not prescribed for you a course by which you can also do sadaqah? Verily, in every tasbihah, when you say subhanallah, there's a sadaqah. In every tahmidah, when you say alhamdulillah, this is a sadaqah. And every tahmidah, when you say the shahada, la ilaha illallah, is a sadaqah. Every takbirah, when you say Allahu Akbar, is a sadaqah. Enjoying the good is a sadaqah. Forbidding the evil is a sadaqah. Even having a relationship with your spouse, is a sadaqah. So, and this, all these things that are mentioned here, you don't have to be educated, you don't have to be wealthy, you don't have to be, you can be in prison, for many of this stuff, in jail, and you have no means. But Allah is making it easy so that every Muslim can get the benefit and the sadaqah of these 10 days, and just in general throughout, the whole year. And then on top of this, we have the day of Arafah, the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. And this is, as the Prophet Muhammad said, Hajj is Arafah. This is the day when all of the Hajjaj, they're gathering at Mount Arafah, and they're, busy in the salah, the du'as, and the prayers, and making istighfar. And for them, on that day, if their Hajj is accepted, all their sins are forgiven, from up to that point. That's an amazing multiplier, if you will, reward for them. But then, what about us? We're not there. We're not able to go. We were not able to make it for Hajj. Allah also gives us something, right? And what is that? If we fast on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, then what we get? Fasting on the day of Arafah expiates the sins from the past and the coming year. So for us, who were not able to make Hajj, if we can fast on the day of the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, the sins of the previous year and the coming year, that's over 700 days. We're talking about multipliers. We're talking about one day you fast and you're getting 700 days of your sins being expiated. I mean, what an amazing multiplier that is. And of course, there's many other things that we can do, inshallah, besides the fasting. We can, of course, we've already mentioned the dhikr of Allah, say Allah Akbar and Subhanallah, and the shahad, things like that. We can also, of course, we should be making tawbah during these 10 days, we should be reading Quran, giving sadaqah for those that are able to. We can be, and if we have the means, we can be making udhiyah. If you're able to do it physically, you go and do the udhiyah yourself. If you're not, mashallah, we have many charities that are out and about that we can give the donation, and inshallah that will benefit. There's so many needy people around the world that can benefit from that sacrifice. One note, again, for those that are thinking of doing the udhiyah, we have a hadith, whoever wants to offer a sacrifice when Dhul Hijjah begins, let him not remove anything from his hair or his nails. Basically, don't cut your fingernails and don't cut your hair once the first Dhul Hijjah begins. And some of you might be thinking, well, let's see kind of this awkward, strange thing. But subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually encouraging us by this, prohibition to be in connection with the Hujjaj. We're making a connection. Even though we're here, many thousands of miles away from them, we are to feel that connection with those people that are in Hajj. In this small, tiny little act. And more or less, inshallah, the first of Dhul Hijjah is going to be sometime around either Monday or Tuesday. You'll want to be, it depends on the sighting of the moon. You want to be in touch with your local masjid and to just get the exact time like that. But definitely you want to, if you haven't been, definitely from now be planning. This is the 10 days you don't want to miss. You want to end the year with a bang. And this Allah is giving us a chance to end the year with a bang to make sure that we, really rack up the good deeds. To count on our scale, inshallah, in the next life. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. I was asked by the management to relate this one hadith from Imam Nawawi's Riyadh al-Salihin. This is chapter 151. Supplication to be made soon after a person's death. Salama, Allah be pleased with her, reported that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam visited Abu Salama, may Allah be pleased with him, when his eyes were open after he had died. So he was passed away and his eyes were still open. And so the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he closed his eyes. And then he said, when the soul is taken away, the sight follows. And so some members of Abu Salama's family began to weep and cry. And so the Prophet ﷺ, he tried to console them and said, do not supplicate for yourselves anything but good. For the angels say Ameen to what you say. And then he said, O Allah, and then he's making a dua for Abu Salama. O Allah, forgive Abu Salama, raise his rank among those who are rightly guided, and grant him a successor from his descendants who remain behind. Grant him pardon and also unto us. And O Rabbul Alameen, make his grave spacious for him and give him light in it. From the obvious lessons from this, hadith, we have, of course, that when someone passes away, you want to close the eyes. You want to avoid saying negative comments, thoughts, like, oh, how can I live? My life is, and you start saying something that you shouldn't be saying because the angels are there and they're saying Ameen to whatever is coming out of your mouth. And then, of course, you want to, visit the bereaved. You want to make dua for them and for the deceased. But, getting back to what I was saying about how Allah wants you to succeed. SubhanAllah, here's another example of how Allah wants you to succeed in the sense that if you've been a good Muslim, and you've been very good to your family, and you've left pious, righteous children, and a spouse, and friends, Muslims, upon your death, what are they going to do? They're going to be making dua for you. And the Prophet Muhammad is saying right here, at that time, after you passed away, their du'as are going to be accepted. So even after you passed away, Allah is stacking things in your favor that you will be successful, inshallah, if you have good, righteous people that you had an impact with, and now they're going to be making dua for you, inshallah, after you passed away. And then the final note, inshallah, is so I was talking about the multipliers, right? And we know how math works, right? You have a number and you multiply by 10, or you multiply by 1,000, or you multiply by 50,000, and you just keep multiplying. So Dhul Hijjah is coming. I want to encourage everyone to be adding up all these multipliers and all these multipliers. But there is a warning that I do want to give. And that warning is that what happens when you multiply by 0? However big the number is, and if you have many, multipliers, if you put a 0 in there somewhere, then that whole number it's gone, right? And so what is that 0 that I want to warn about? And this is a famous hadith, I think we all know this hadith, inshallah, but it's good to remind. The first thing that the servant of Allah will be called to account for on the Day of Judgment will be the prayer, salah, 5 salawat. And if it was good, the person's deeds will have been good. But if it was bad, the person's deeds will have been bad. So that's basically a 0 multiplier, if you think about it. So just imagine the first 10 days of the Hajj are coming, and we're having all these plans to try to make all this good deed. But if we have been lax in our salah, our 5 daily salah, fajr, right, dhuhr, asr, maghrib, isha, it's critical that should be a top priority. We need to be on top of that. We should not be lax on that. We should be praying those on time. And especially, the night that Dhul Hijjah comes, we want to have all of our sins forgiven for the prior year and coming year. But what's going to happen if the salah is lacking? So definitely, this has to be a top priority. Make the salah a priority in all 5 prayers, inshallah. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون وأقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون كلا لو تعلمون علم اليقين لترون الجحيم ثم لترونها عين اليقين ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.